Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I am back. Dr. Paul is back. Um, had some travel, had some other things going on that needed to go speak at conferences and what have you. So, apologize that I haven't been on these for you, but here I am. I'm back. We will have a wonderful webinar tonight on sleep and brain science. So as always, we're going to give it a minute for some people to come in. We have a lot of people already coming in, but we will wait for a few more just to give some time to come in. And wanted to thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off for a second, but I will be back.
It's filtered. It's filtered water.
I need that full.
Oh, you need it full. Oh, I thought you were gonna put this in.
All right. So I always have this fun little thing we do where we ask people to go in the chat and put in where they're from, where they're coming to the webinar from. So we like to see who's coming from the farthest, especially international people. We would love to hear that. So welcome Elizabeth from Seattle, Washington, Janet from Missouri, Penny, Utah. I love it. Me too. Who's the furthest? Let's see who we can find that is the furthest away. New Jersey's winning so far. Let's see. Oh, Australia. Welcome, Ron from South Australia. That's great. Welcome, welcome. All right, so let's see, who else? What's the longest and the furthest? I think Australia wins so far. Yep. All right, so Trinidad in the Caribbean. That's far away too. Thank you. But I think Australia is still winning. That's for sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot of people here. We welcome you. Later, we're going to be doing, as always, a live question and answer. So I just want everyone to be ready. You can put some questions in now, and Penny, who is incredible, will be answering the ones that are easy to answer that she can answer. But I will be doing a live question and answer when we're done the presentation, the content part of it, and then you can put your questions, specific questions in. So we're going to go over some studies tonight. We're going to go over how hydrogen can help with sleep and brain, which are two very important things. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to do this. So obviously we always have an FDA disclaimer. The information shared here is intended to be educational. We're not trying to diagnose disease models or anything else. We're just educating you. And this is me, your host. I'm the founder of Echo Water. Many of you know my story. I'll go over it in just a minute. But Echo Water is a result of healing my wife 20 years ago. So I am a husband of 31 years. It's the thing I'm the most proud of. A father of a 22-year-old son who I love dearly, him and my sweetheart. I am a doctor of naturopathy, a speaker, co-author, lecturer, and very passionate about preventing disease. So understand that it's a lot easier to prevent a disease than it is to get rid of it once you have it. So trust me on that. And that's what my whole life is spent on, is helping people to not have disease models. We're going to talk about sleep tonight. This is extremely important in this multi-part series. nutrition, exercise, lifestyle, vitamins and supplements, and sleep. And of course, all around all of it is proper hydration. So tonight we're going to talk about sleep and the importance of it. So getting into it, here are the signs that you need more sleep. Now, clearly people know when they need more sleep most of the time, but here are some signs just so you know what it does to your body. Brain fog, poor memory, mood changes, low motivation, impaired judgment, clumsiness, coordination issues, headaches, light sensitivity. So light being sensitive with your eyes, weakened immune function, definitely, increased hunger and cravings, low stress resilience, and social withdrawal. Those are your top bullet points for people that have sleep issues or have lack of sleep. These are things they typically would experience. If we look at the chart, on your screen, 1 to 2 nights of sleep deprivation is elevated blood sugar or blood pressure, and elevated cortisol. Now, cortisol is because of the stress. It's trying to be excreted into the body to calm you down so that you're not going as high as you could possibly go. 3 to 4 nights with sleep deprivation is impaired glucose metabolism and pre-diabetic insulin resistance. It would mimic that. So not being able to metabolize glucose. 4 nights and beyond, we have a 48% elevated heart risk. So that's not good. So if you don't want heart disease, get proper sleep. And so here are some things. Now, I can tell you from a personal story, as long as I get good sleep, my immune system is amazing. I very rarely ever get sick. But if I go 3 or 4 nights with no sleep or less sleep than I should, I can tell my body is more susceptible and I can end up getting sick. So if I start feeling low energy, because I really rarely do, if I start feeling low energy, then I will go to sleep and take a nap, or I will go to sleep and just allow my body to rest so that I don't get sick. So here are health risks of poor sleep. You have a 20% increase for a higher risk of myocardial infarction. And that's with adults that have less than 6 hours of sleep per night. So if you sleep less than 6 hours per night, you have a 20% increase in myocardial infarction, which effectively is heart issues. Now, you have a 30% reduction of glucose response in adults with 4 hours per night for multiple nights. So again, we already talked about it on the last slide, but if you get 4 hours of sleep for 4 nights or less hours of sleep, you'll have 30% lower glucose response. When we are trying to clear glucose, and what I mean by that is if you take sugary things with a lot of glucose or sugar in them and you want to clear those things, you have a 40% reduction in glucose clearance if you have 4 hours of sleep per night for multiple nights in a row. When it comes to cravings, you have an increase of 45% in cravings if you're only sleeping 4 hours per night for multiple nights. So food cravings increase by almost 50% if you have 4 hours of sleep for multiple nights in a row. The next stat, 50 to 70 million individuals who experience chronic sleep disorders or insufficient sleep. Imagine 50 to 70 million people that experience issues being able to sleep. Now, if we have poor sleeping habits, it can add 2.6 years from your brain age perspective. It can make it like you're 2.6 years older when it comes to your brain age. So none of these things we want. So here's the deal. Get proper sleep, 8 to 10 hours a night, depending on you, but definitely you should get 8 hours of sleep per night at least, and not eating right before you go to sleep. Don't eat, if possible, don't eat within a couple hours of going to sleep. That would be optimal. Okay. Let's talk about brain health. Cognitive clarity and proper neurologic function are fundamental to virtually every aspect of our health. Now, we will lose, if we don't get proper health, we'll lose 25 to 40% of productivity on a daily basis. So we talked about brain fog 2 slides ago. That's what this is really talking about, is brain fog. In other words, not being clear because you're sleepy would be similar to being inebriated, right? 25% to 40% reduction in productivity. So if you want to be productive in life, especially at your job, you need to get a good sleep before. Now, we all know sometimes we want to party down. Sometimes we want to stay up late the night before, and then we're going to get less sleep for one night. Listen, it happens. It is what it is. You try to do it Friday night so you have a weekend on Saturday to sleep in, but that's not going to cause these issues. These are individuals that are getting 4 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep every night regularly, and that's what we don't want. And we don't want dementia, right? Well, you have a 40% increased risk of dementia if we do not get proper sleep. So just say no to dementia and say yes to sleep. I'm being a little bit goofy tonight. You guys just have to go with it. Signs of impaired cognitive function: trouble focusing for more than a few minutes, forgetting names, tasks, conversations often, decision fatigue or procrastination, feeling out of it even after you sleep, and emotional reactivity, snapping, like snapping at people, anxiety, low frustration tolerance, those kind of things. Those are all signs that someone does not have proper sleep. Okay, so hydrogen, let's get into that for a minute. Here's the problem, right? We just shared with you the problem with sleep deprivation and less sleep than you should be getting. Here's hydrogen 101. 63% of our body should be hydrogen. So hydrogen is a critical aspect of our body and the function of our body. And that's what we need to understand. Carbon, hydrogen chains, that's our body. So it's no wonder why our bodies are designed to create hydrogen on their own. It's because we need it. We need hydrogen for just about every function in the human body. So when we talk about the structural hydrogen, most of it is bound within water. That's 63%. That obviously, we're not 63% gas walking around. We would look like a balloon or something. The hydrogen in our body is bound to water. It also is bound with water, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So that's not available for the body. What we need is just the H2 gas that you get in echo water, and also you can get it in your intestinal tract when we create the hydrogen gas through the fermentation of food, when we're producing food, or the production of fermentation. So what is hydrogen water? This is one of the things that people ask all the time. They're like, isn't hydrogen already in water? And I understand the question, of course, because H2O, right? Of course, you're thinking hydrogen. But what we need to remember is that hydrogen gas is what we need for our body. And water is a liquid. H2O is a liquid. Yes, it is comprised of hydrogen and oxygen gas, but once those gases combine, they form a liquid. So we no longer have gas in the water, hydrogen gas, that is. And so what echo water is H2O liquid with H2 gas riding along. And you can imagine water is the vehicle that's transporting the hydrogen gas into our body. And that's what hydrogen water really is. So it's bioavailable hydrogen gas so that it's not bound to anything. It is free and available to be used by our body and to modulate the pathways that hydrogen modulates. What we call it a signal modulator, because it's modulating many different actions in the body. And that is why Echo Water is what it is, because we are the best hydrogen water systems in the world. And we also have the most efficacy and the cleanest patented systems available. Now, there are 1,500 plus peer-reviewed studies. There's 150 years of research back from the 1800s, and there's 40 plus proven benefits. This is not something that is new. This is not something that's going to go away tomorrow. This is something that you and I need every day of our life to live the best life that we can. So what are the 3 steps in making hydrogen water? First of all, we have water, H2O. Then we go through a form of electrolysis. This is where I want to spend a minute, because electrolysis is able to break up hydrogen and oxygen gas out of liquid water, or out of water molecules. We separate hydrogen and oxygen back into gas form. That's what electrolysis did. Anthony Carlisle in 1800 discovered water electrolysis. He was wanting to harvest hydrogen gas. Now, most of the scam hydrogen products in the world use electrolysis, but they don't use proton exchange membrane type of electrolysis. So in all of our Echo branded products, we use proton exchange membrane electrolysis systems, because we don't want to change the pH, and we want to always have a predictable amount of hydrogen gas in the water that allows your body to get what it needs, which is the hydrogen gas. So understand, if the system doesn't have a proton exchange membrane, you're going to make a far less amount of hydrogen gas, or possibly no hydrogen gas. And this is the case with other bottles, where you have these so-called hydrogen bottles that are sold on Amazon and Alibaba that are very inexpensive. None of them are proton exchange membranes. They are traditional electrolysis. And so they will make chlorine, hypochlorous acid, ozone. Who knows what you're drinking? Who knows what's in that water? Heaven knows, but we don't know, because it's going to change every time based on the water that you put in it. And in these devices that use electrolysis, you can't even put reverse osmosis or distilled water, which is pure water, which would be good for you, because they can't process that type of water with traditional electrolysis. But our systems can, because we use proprietary proton exchange membrane systems. They can absolutely process distilled or reverse osmosis water. I hope that helps you understand, because it really is unfortunate that people are dishonest, but 99% of the bottles being sold on the market are scam products. And the alkaline water machines out there only will make hydrogen for a few weeks when they're brand new, and then the calcium builds up on the cathode, and so they don't produce hydrogen. And so really that's why I started Echo, because hydrogen's what we need. We don't need the pH. That doesn't do anything for the body. We just need the hydrogen gas. So I hope that helps you understand what is hydrogen water and why are the other products in the market problematic. So let's get into the benefits of hydrogen. Number 1, hydrogen has been proven to be a selective antioxidant. What does that mean? Well, when you hear the word antioxidant, I'm sure your mind immediately goes to a electron donor, but that's not what hydrogen is. Hydrogen does not have an extra electron. Let me get a little water. Hydrogen is neutral. Hydrogen does not have an extra electron, so it does not donate an extra electron. And that's a darn good thing, because traditional antioxidants that have an extra electron, once they donate that extra electron, they themselves become a pro-oxidant. So they become a problem for the body that the body's got to deal with. So yes, they helped something else by donating an electron, but they themselves became a problem. Well, the good news is hydrogen is neutral. Hydrogen functions as an antioxidant, but it does not donate an electron, so it doesn't become a pro-oxidant, and therefore it is safe to have no matter what modality. Even people with cancer that are using chemotherapy, you are discouraged from using antioxidants with chemotherapy, but you can absolutely use hydrogen water with chemotherapy. So these are the kind of differences that we need to understand. Even though hydrogen is an antioxidant, it is a selective. And what does the word selective mean? It means that hydrogen is not going to react with radicals that are good for us. That might be news to you. I don't know. But most people think all free radicals are bad. But this is not true. Many, in fact, most of the radicals in the body are needed for our body to function the way it's supposed to. The cytotoxic or cell damaging radicals that are typically reactive oxygen species of radicals are the ones that harm our mitochondrial function, ATP production, other things in the body. Those are the radicals that hydrogen reacts with. The bad damaging radicals, not the good radicals that are life-sustaining, or what we call they have a physiological role. Understand, that's the beauty of hydrogen. That's why hydrogen science, after 2008 and 2009, when Nature published the first study showing hydrogen to be a selective antioxidant, that's why everyone got really excited about it. Now, hydrogen prevents disease. Now, let's talk about why. Because a lot of people say a lot of things about things that prevent disease. The leading cause of disease is oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. When you combine those two things, oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, when you combine them together, you end up with disease. And so this is very bad, clearly. So hydrogen gas, H2 gas, can reduce inflammation and can reduce oxidative stress to bring it back into a normal range, so we just have oxidation. I hope that helps. Now, oxidative stress and inflammation are the reason why we have joint issues and arthritis and disease models and brain issues and all kinds of things. So please understand, all that comes from our gut being damaged or our gut not working properly. So it is estimated that 90+% of the population walking around has some amount of gut dysfunction. And really, I'm being kind because most people have very significant gut issues. And what does that really mean? That means they have food allergies, gluten and dairy intolerance. They can't eat everything without indigestion. They can't make stomach acid because they don't have hydrogen gas in the body. They can't process all types of food naturally. That's what gut dysfunction is. Well, when you have gut dysfunction, you automatically have immune function issues because 70% of immune function is tied to the bacteria in the gut. You most likely will also have anxiety and depression. So imagine the bacteria in your gut can completely change your emotional state, your ability to function, your anxiety, depression, any of these kind of things can be affected by the bacteria in your gut. So let's keep our guts healthy. Let's make sure that we are not having these unnecessary issues. And so the best way to do that is to, of course, drink hydrogen water from an echo device and help your body keep your gut. Because what's going to happen is as you're eating food that has contaminants and pesticides and other things in it, you are damaging your gut. As you drink echo water, because of the hydrogen gas in it, you're going to repair your gut while the food you're eating is damaging your gut. And so it's a process where you can stay healthy and stay well. Now, I would always recommend that you eat food that doesn't have pesticides in it. Not everybody wants to make this choice. Not everybody feels like this is the right choice for them. But this would be a recommendation in our world today. If you can eat foods that don't have pesticides, heavy metals, and all kinds of other contaminants, that's going to be better for you. Okay? So let's move on. When it comes to athletes, they will have a reduced recovery time. This is one of the amazing benefits for athletes when it comes to Echo Water. Now, Echo Water can help restore gut function. It can help the body reestablish the terrain and the biome by virtue of the fact that this water, once it's run through this process, right, and I turn it on and it's working, and you can kind of see all the bubbles coming up there, you know, when that process is finished, the electrical potential of this water will be around a negative 400, negative 600. And that, when it gets into your intestinal tract, is exactly what's needed for your intestinal tract to be the right electrical potential and become a great place for bacteria, the right bacteria to live. So this study that's on your page right here is talking about that. And it's saying 96 to 99% of the friendly or residential microflora are what? Strict anaerobes. So we should have anaerobes be 96 to 99% of the bacteria in our guts. Only 1 to 4% of the bacteria should be aerobes. So it's interesting that anaerobes want fat and fiber. Aerobes want sugar and carbs. And by virtue of what should be naturally happening, the vast majority of bacteria in our gut should be eating fats and fiber. So that should be the kind of foods we're eating. And only 1 to 4% of the bacteria should be eating sugar and carbs. Right there should tell you what our diet should consist of if we just use the wonderful brain that we've been given. It's pretty clear what we should be eating. Now, for us to have the correct bacteria in our gut, we need to have the right terrain for that bacteria. And that's what Echo Water helps to establish by having the electrical potential in the water. When that goes into the large intestine or the colon, it's going to pass that property into the tissue in the intestinal tract, and that is what the bacteria need to live. And that's what this study is saying. If we look to the middle, it says what? Anaerobes do not grow unless the value is negative between a negative 300 and negative 400 millivolts. Well, what did I say? The water, Echo Water, is a negative 400 to a negative 600 millivolts. That gives the perfect environment to support bacteria growing and thriving in your intestinal tract. So this is why this study is showing that water with this property can do wonderful things for your gut. Now, we said we were talking about sleep and brain. So here we're going to start talking about brain a little bit. This is a brain mapping done at Dr. Kelly Miller's office in Florida, Tampa area. This was a 62-year-old female who drank 16 ounces of Echo Water. And this was just a few minutes after drinking that water. Dr. Kelly Miller was able to scan her brain and was able to show what happened in this brain. Now, when we look at the plasticity, holy cow, 32% change in plasticity. Normalization of the brain, 58%. When we look at the alpha and beta waves, look at the before, how much red you see, and look at the after, the fact that the alpha side of the brain has been completely brought down to normal. And if you look at the index on the side, yellow is very high, red is high, green is okay, aqua blue is low, and the blue, what would be a darker blue, would be very low. You can see that most of that brain now is in the okay range. And there was T3, T4, P4, and QNO1 that's showing low, but that's what you would expect in that situation. But if you look up at the before, look at how much of that brain was overfiring high function when it really didn't need to. If we look at the beta side, look at the same process. And what we see is the brain shifted to where it's supposed to be firing high and very high in the beta side of things, because obviously they were doing a brain mapping. But this is what you would expect to see. Now, when Dr. Kelly Miller sent me this email and said, holy cow, I've never seen this before. To get these kind of results would take me 90 days, 3 months of having a patient do everything correct, everything right, for me to see these kind of results. And this was minutes after she consumed Echo Water. That just shows you the power of what this can do in the brain. So let's get into talking about studies. And as usual, I'm going to give you the 5 talking points that I think are kind of a, studies cheat list, or whatever you want to call it. The 5 things that you want to know about each of these. So this study was entitled Hydrogen-Rich Water Improves Sleep Consolidation and Enhances Forebrain Neuronal Activation in Mice. And you can see what they were looking at was sleep loss contributes to various health issues, and molecular hydrogen has recently gained popularity as a non-toxic, ergogenic, and health promoter. So what are they saying? Let's see what the heck happens with hydrogen-rich water on neuronal activation in sleep-deprived mice. And then it tells you about what they did. I'm going to give you, in layman's terms, what the 5 results are from this study. Number 1, mice drinking hydrogen water had smoother, more continuous sleep, less tossing and turning, and fewer brief wake-ups. Okay? So, number 1, better sleep and more continuous sleep. Number 2, it boosted recovery sleep. So when the mice were forced to stay awake, those that were given the hydrogen water caught up on both deep sleep and REM sleep more than the control mice did. So somehow hydrogen was able to boost their deeper sleep, their recovery sleep, faster than the mice that did not have the hydrogen water. Number 3, hydrogen water reduced the amount of time it took for these mice to fall asleep in the first place. So in other words, latency under baseline conditions. So mice drinking hydrogen water fell asleep faster, and their sleep period began. There was less of a delay when dozing off. Number 4, hydrogen water consumption altered neuronal activation in key sleep regulating areas of the brain. And so the hydrogen water seemed to turn on the brain regions known to control and promote sleep. So that's a very, very good study. Number 5, the final one, number 5. This was a really cool thing, but there was amazing benefits. Let me read to you. This is intriguing result in mice that suggests hydrogen water might help with sleep. Now, what's important to understand is we want to do more studies, but we're actually getting a lot of studies now with these, sleep studies in hydrogen. But the thing we want to understand is that when we're looking at, and this is going to be a little bit more medical than the other 4, but I'm going to tell you anyways, that what these authors were proposing at the end of this study is that hydrogen-rich water was a low-risk, non-pharmacologic supplement to improve sleep recovery after loss. But they're saying they want to do some studies with humans and figure out, is there such thing as an optimal dose? Is there a timing before you go to sleep? They want to do some more studies. They also said that hydrogen-rich water had no clear effect on slow wave or delta power. In other words, the intensity of NREM as a marker of sleep pressure in either baseline or recovery states. So no negative effects, only positive effects. And that's our first study for the night. And so, again, you see down there under conclusion, it improved sleep consolidation. So it was a positive outcome, like all studies are. So let's look at this one. This was a great, and I quote this one a lot. This was a sleep deprivation study of hydrogen water versus caffeine for improved alertness in those in a sleep deprived situation. So sleep deprived has a lot of side effects like drinking or inebriation. It's very similar. So it's very interesting. This particular study had 23 young men and women who were sleep deprived for 24 hours. So that's your setup, understanding, and they gave some group caffeine and they gave some group hydrogen-rich water. And as you can see on your screen, hydrogen-rich water displayed no side effects and therefore might be advanced as a safe and effective alternative to caffeine for sleep deprivation. Now, let me read to you, as usual, 5 wonderful talking points. Number 1, after staying awake all night, both caffeine and hydrogen water made people feel more awake. So, both did what they were looking for. Number 2, the study didn't prove necessarily that hydrogen is better or worse than caffeine, but they seem to perform similarly in most respects. So in other words, the effect was similar. Now, I can tell you from the study that the improvement with hydrogen water was 10% more than caffeine. So that's not going to show in a study a huge cognitive increase. If it was 30% or 40%, you might see some significant cognitive differences. But because it was only a 10% difference, it's not going to show. However, what's amazing is that, and I'll read this next part, caffeine improved general wakefulness, but seemed to reduce performance on some tasks involving staying ready or responding quickly in certain attention dimensions. And versus hydrogen water slightly helped the ability to shift attention in the short term. And so this was a really good study where we can kind of see the difference. Now, in the study, they said that hydrogen-rich water, everyone who drank the hydrogen water in the study seemed to handle it fine. No one reported bad effects. And so that's wonderful. And so this is an early test. This is an early one. One other thing I would show in these studies that had to do with caffeine, typically there's a drop-off. I think you all know, those of you who use caffeine to increase energy or alertness, you kind of increase, and then in 20 minutes there's a drop-off. There was not that when the hydrogen water was used. So it's interesting, and you can read that in the study. It says, both caffeine and hydrogen-rich water acutely affected markers of alertness in young sleep-deprived men and women. Caffeine induced a significant drop in alerting and executive control in a 15-minute follow-up, while hydrogen-rich water caused a significant reduction in the orientation at post-administration. However, no differences were found in the intervention for all evaluated outcomes for alertness. So they were very, very similar in performance, but there was no reduction or having more sleepiness. So it's interesting with some of these studies. This one is inhalation, and this was talking about brain edema. That's what we're talking about here, is those that have had a life-threatening issue like brain edema that occurs after a glioma surgery. That's really what this study was talking about. And the results of this study is the volume of brain edema before discharge was significantly lower in the hydrogen group. Additionally, the regression rate of brain edema was higher than in the C group, which was statistically significant. Furthermore, 3 days after surgery, the H group had longer total sleep duration, improved sleep efficiency, shorter sleep latency, and lower numerical rating scale. So in conclusion, hydrogen and oxygen inhalation effectively reduced postoperative brain edema in glioma patients. And so that's what we have. So the 5 talking points I have for you on this study is patients who breathe, number 1, patients who breathed in hydrogen and oxygen mixture around the time of their glioma surgery had less brain swelling after surgery than those who only inhaled oxygen. Number 1 point. Number 2, those who got hydrogen inhalation slept more, fell asleep faster, had better sleep quality, and reported less pain a few days after surgery compared to those without hydrogen. Number 3 point. This was done at one hospital, and this is the one thing I want to share with you. These are all small studies. So it was done at one hospital, and it might be better if we had larger studies, but these are good outcomes. Now, the number 4 point that I want to make is the idea that hydrogen may help calm inflammation and protect the brain barrier after surgery. So less fluid leaks into brain tissue and reducing swelling. So this was another big benefit, that hydrogen can calm the inflammation. And that's huge. We all know this, but it's wonderful in a post-op situation where they're testing it and showing that by inhaling hydrogen during a procedure, post-operatively, they had less swelling. And that's amazing. So I'll leave you with those. That's plenty. Let's go to the next study. This was a 14-day consumption of hydrogen-rich water, alleviating fatigue, but does not ameliorate dyspnea on long COVID patients. So anyways, this is a very specific study, and it's pretty medically. But I'm going to read to you the 5 points that I put together for this study. Number 1, drinking hydrogen water for 2 weeks helped participants feel less tired compared to placebo. Okay. That was, remember, these are long COVID patients, so they're feeling fatigue normally. So drinking hydrogen water for 2 weeks helped participants feel less tired compared to those that were drinking the placebo water. Number 2 point, people who drank hydrogen water were able to walk farther in 6 minutes and perform more sit to stands in 30 seconds, suggesting better stamina and muscle strength. So this was a good thing for them. Number 3, hydrogen water seemed to improve sleep, but didn't noticeably help with breathlessness or mood symptoms like anxiety and depression. So there you go. So why were these individuals having breathlessness? Well, obviously their ability to process oxygen, which does happen with some long COVID individuals. If there was lung damage, they're not able to filter out the oxygen in the same way. And hydrogen won't necessarily help that. There's other things that will need to be done. And also a longer exposure to hydrogen will help that. Number 4, people that were drinking hydrogen water, the amount they improved in fatigue was linked to how much better their leg strength and standing test got. Those who gained more physical performance saw larger drops in fatigue. So let me read that again for you. In people drinking hydrogen water, the amount they improved in fatigue was linked to how much better their leg strength and their standing test got. Those who gained more physical performance saw larger drops in fatigue. So again, Very, very good outcomes for the ability to oxygenate the body was improving. I guarantee you, if they added another 2 weeks onto this, they would have seen even more significant of results. All right, so let me see here. So this is our 5th study, and I'm going to go over this quickly because this is a simple study, but this was a study about fatigue and by increased oxidative stress. It was 24 volunteers that were randomized either to oral administration of hydrogen water containing 0.36 milligrams of hydrogen or placebo for 4 weeks. So let's look at what this said. Number 1, the hydrogen-rich water group had a significantly lower sleepiness and tension score after 4-week administration, and significantly higher motivation and relaxation score after mental tasks compared with the placebo group. So, and it also took them less time to do the mental tasks that they were doing. So clearly, this result suggests that hydrogen-rich water improves several subjective sensations accompanying fatigue and induced by daily activities, especially mental. They were giving them mental things to do. So that's, again, good outcome. This is number 6. So this was an impact of a 6-week dihydrogen peroxide supplementation of mitochondrial biomarkers. So this is a very interesting study. This is looking at studying a medium-term supplementation with dihydrogen and PQQ on mitochondrial biomarkers, brain metabolism, cognition in elderly individuals diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. So that's what this study is about. And let's just go to the conclusion. It said the dihydrogen PQQ mixture blend shows promise as a potential dietary intervention for enhancing mental orientation and brain metabolism in individuals with age-related mild cognitive decline. So that is the study results. Let me read the 5 things that I put together for you. This was obviously a carefully designed trial in older adults with mild memory problems. Subjects were randomly assigned to either supplement hydrogen PQQ or a dummy pill, basically a placebo. Neither of participants nor the researchers knew who got which. So first of all, this is a true double-blind study. After 6 weeks, those on the hydrogen plus PQQ showed slightly less worsening and thinking memory tests than those on placebo. In other words, it may have slowed or declined their issue a bit. When it comes to the biomarkers, though, and brain metabolism, they didn't have a conclusive test, but they didn't have any negatives. And again, it was a slight improvement. And so that was, again, a good thing. Anytime you're talking about these brain issues, any improvement at all on cognition in senior individuals or elderly individuals is wonderful. Now, one thing that we see here is that the intervention is plausible. In other words, PQQ promotes mitochondrial biogenesis. Adding hydrogen to that can increase cognition because you're going to stimulate ghrelin secretions. So what's really interesting is when we look at the Krebs cycle and we look at some other things getting into all of that, the PGC1 alpha, for example, activation, all of the antioxidant defenses in the body are benefited. So the things that they're seeing here was energy and repair. And basically PQQ is designed to increase mitochondrial function, and that's what they were looking to do. So what they're showing is that the hydrogen may have protective effects on the brain and signaling effects. And so, that was a wonderful study as well with brain function. So when we look at inhaled molecular hydrogen reducing hippocampal neuroinflammation, glial activity, and ameliorates the memory impairment during systemic inflammation. That this is just really talking about the inhalation of hydrogen and how the central nervous system can be benefited. So this study, as it says, to understand how H2 acts in the hippocampus, the current study focused on specific mechanisms that may be involved in reducing neuroinflammation in rats. And so that's what they're looking at here. And this is sepsis. Basically, this is a sepsis situation. And so they were trying to see what would happen. And so evidence showed at the end, evidence showed that inhaled hydrogen reduces hippocampal microglial, my poor tongue, microglial and glial cells inflammation, which may be associated with reduced memory impairment induced by sepsis. So let's look at what our 5 points are here. When animals' bodies were inflamed, simulating severe infection, breathing in hydrogen gas helped lower inflammation signals both in the blood and in the brain. That's the first point. Hydrogen gas seemed to calm the support cells of the brain, the ones that often ramp up during injury, preventing them from becoming overactive in response to inflammation. And so we're talking about the glial reactivity that we were talking about when I was reading some of these things in the study. It suppresses the activation of the microglia and astrocytes. So this is all wonderful things, understanding these things. Number 3, it lessens memory impairment induced by systemic inflammation, which was really good. When inflammation would normally cause memory problems in these animals, hydrogen breathing reduced how badly their memory was affected. So again, big improvement there. Number 4, hydrogen helped reduce severe swelling without messing up the basic ability of brain circuits to strengthen communication, which is important for memory. And so there you go. Our final study tonight is on hydrogen gas inhalation on community dwelling adults of various ages. And it's just talking about how safe and does it have an impact on the range of illnesses, including Alzheimer's disease. So basically, what they're looking at here is hydrogen gas inhalation might be a good candidate for improving Alzheimer's disease with cognitive dysfunction in community dwelling adults at different ages. And so what do we learn from this? What are the 5 points that I felt were most impactful from this study? Number 1, over a month of breathing hydrogen gas, participants didn't show harmful changes in their basic blood cell counts. It seemed safe in this small sample. So first of all, didn't affect the blood sample for blood cell count. Number 2, after the hydrogen gas period, people had lower levels of certain oxidative stress chemicals in their blood. Those are molecules that are obviously are associated with cell damage and aging. Number 3, after inhaling hydrogen gas, many people had better values in blood tests tied to brain health. Biomarkers linked to Alzheimer's showed reductions, and growth trophic factors associated with brain function improved. So significant benefits with Alzheimer's. Now, we know that Parkinson's, there's 22 studies on Parkinson's as well, showing disease modification effects on Parkinson's disease. So we would expect to see Alzheimer's being helped and other cognitive related things as well. So let's look at, those. So I hope this helps you all understand that the brain is affected, and sometimes it's ghrelin secretions, sometimes it's hydrogen signaling other pathways. But when it comes to the cognitive function, it's a lot of times gastric ghrelin that's being stimulated or signaled into the brain. And so these are just a few studies that we put together for tonight, being able to show that the brain is affected. We talk about it a lot, and there is a lot of benefits with hydrogen in the brain, but here at least are more studies that we can look at. So obviously I showed you the flask earlier. The flask is amazing. It's the best thing in the world for having a portable hydrogen unit. And so look at all that gas coming up. You can see it, all those bubbles, all those bubbles. Now, in our device, you can kind of see on the bottom here where this blue light is. That's where the oxygen would come out, and only the hydrogen would be going in. That's what's amazing with our bottle. The other bottles on the market that are like I call scam products, that's because just because you see the bubbles, you don't know what those bubbles are. It could be ozone, it could be negative, it could be who knows what, chlorine, it could be whatever that bottle's producing. In the Echo bottle, it is only ever hydrogen going into the bottle. And we have had that tested third party, so you don't ever have to worry. Now, this flask does have a 12-ounce capacity. It has been tested, as all Echo products are tested and certified by H2 Analytics to have met the IHSA standards. That's your first and foremost. You would never want to buy a hydrogen-related product that doesn't have that seal that you see on your screen right there. If it doesn't have that, you should never buy it because it's not a legitimate product. It's a scam product. So here you have 12-ounce capacity, up to 8 parts per million, which is 16 times over what the IHSA standard is. So imagine we're able to not only meet the standard, but beat it by 16 times. Clearly, our products won't put chlorine in your water like the other companies' products will. There is a 5-year warranty. People ask, how long is this going to last? It is going to last for 5 years. It does have a USB-C charging port. And of course, it meets all the standards that it would need to be the amazing product that it is. Now, here are the lab reports. First of all, in a 10-minute cycle, you're going to get 6.07 parts per million, which is 2.17 milligrams per liter. You can see in 20 minutes, you're going to have over 8.25 parts per million and 2.89 milligrams per liter. The study on the right with SGS, it was just showing that they studied this, they tested it, and there is nothing else being added into the water other than hydrogen. No metals, no heavy metals, no contaminants of any kind. That's what that is. So what are people saying? People are saying this improves my sleep. This lowers my joint pain. This lowers inflammation in the body, increases my immune function so I don't get sick as much, improves my energy and my clarity, better digestion, reduced fatigue, recovery times reduced. So is there anyone that doesn't want all these things? Like, isn't this kind of everything to have good health? And if we were to ask people how many people are suffering from those things, a lot of people would raise their hand. What did Donna say? Look in the top right corner of the screen. After 2 weeks of drinking 3 flasks a day, I am sleeping like a rock and feel great during and after my workout. Awesome, Donna. Look at Kevin. I love it. Drinking more water every day since getting it. I notice improvements in my sleep when drinking my water. Boom. Julie, number 3. To be honest, after reading reviews, I was hopeful but a little suspicious of all the good things I was reading. Just no way, right? Who would believe this crazy stuff? Well, I've had my bottle for 8 days. The energy came on day 1. Sleep improved day 1. Fast forward to day 8. Reduced joint pain, mental clarity. I can't even describe it. Sold. So we appreciate people giving us, obviously, 5 stars. We appreciate the people that are having all the benefits. That's what I do this for. Literally, there are so many things you can do in life. Why not help people? Why not pass on a good thing? And so I created Echo after helping my wife because I wanted other people to have the benefits we did. I didn't want to stop at my wife. I was like, there's got to be other husbands. There's got to be other wives who are feeling miserable all the time and don't know what to do about it. And so we're going to tell them what they can do about it. Please, when you're placing your order, get the free ebook. There's a lot of really good information in there. This will help you understand even more. And here we go with your code. If you are on the echowater.com website and you're in the checkout part, you use this code Echo Elite. It will give you a discount. Just understand it will give you a discount. That's what you would want to use to be able to get your discount is Echo Elite in the coupon code area. When you're in the shopping cart, there's going to be a place to add a coupon code, and that's where you're going to want to add Echo Elite. And of course, this is Becca Kevern, who's our service manager, and then Trace is our customer service director, and Trace is our tech support manager. Both of them are incredible. Both have hearts of gold. And also, I want to point out, if you ever have an issue, you can go to support.echowater.com. That's where you would get the support. A lot of people like to go on social media and put comments in going, I have a question, or I need help. Just go right here, support.echowater.com. That is the best place to go to get help. Now, I'm going to leave it on this screen because it's a nice screen and it will remind you all of your coupon codes. And so here we go. I have under the question and answer, and I'll go through, and it looks as usual that Penny is doing an amazing job answering. So I'm going to scroll through and see which ones I need to answer. Sorry, it's a little quiet, but Penny's so amazing. She's just answering all these questions. I may have nothing to do. I love it. Oh, here's one. This person's name is Paul. Great name. Love your name. How much hydrogen water did they consume during the study? I don't know which study. So I can't answer that without knowing which study. But I would tell you that most studies that I've reviewed, they're drinking about 30 ounces of water in these studies. That would kind of be your gauge is 30 ounces of water, which this is 12 ounces. So I always tell people 3 to 6 of those a day. That's definitely going to get the job done. All right. Jolene, I think that's right. Jolene, is there a way to get access to the other webinars? Yes, they're all evergreen. So you should be able to see them. I don't know how to answer that, but I do know they're all recorded and they are all available as an evergreen. If you're registered, you should be able to see them all, but I don't know how to give you that exact answer or how to accomplish that. So I would send an email or go to support@echowater.com or and they'll be able to get you connected. But what I believe is that your link to get into this webinar would be the same to be able to see the past webinars. And Jolene is asking, is there an affiliate program? Yes, there is. And any one of you out there that are just wanting to bless the lives of others, we do have an affiliate program where you could go on social media and you could put a coupon code, you could put a link, you can do all kinds of things. You can promote Echo there, talking about the wonderful experiences you've had. We need your help. We want to help every human being on the planet, and we would love to have your help in that. We do have an affiliate program. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of our website, you will see Become an Affiliate down there, and you can sign up to become an affiliate and then promote our products. Thank you for that, Jolene. All right, I'm going to keep scrolling down. That's it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Awesome. Yeah, Penny is saying we have some awesome promotions going on right now. Definitely check them out. 100%. 100%. That's great. All right. Any other questions? I'll hold it for a few minutes. But if there's any other, oh, here's a question. Christy says, I hear the hydrogen product is good. Process is good for 2 hours. Is that after you push the button? Let me explain that, Christy. Great question. All right. So here's your flask. You've put water in it all to just the bottom of the neck right up here, and you've turned on your 10 minutes. After your 10 minutes, you're going to push the top, right? You hear that little release. Many times you'll hear that, but even if you don't hear that, it still has the right hydrogen. But many times you can release the lid, and then you can take off the lid and you can drink it. But if you pour the water into a glass like this, you have 2 hours to drink it. That's what's meant by 2 hours. If you keep this bottle under pressure for a little bit, then the hydrogen's going to stay in there. Once you release the pressure, you'll start to have a reduction of hydrogen slowly, but you have a couple hours from that time. So please know you don't have to be concerned about drinking it in a few minutes. Even if you put it in a glass, you have 2 hours to consume and have, plenty of hydrogen left. So I hope that answers your question, Christy. But let's see. Ainsley says, we so appreciate you, Dr. Paul. Teach the world about hydrogen. Viva Hydrogen from Trinidad. Oh my gosh. I love you. Thank you. I need to come to Trinidad. That sounds like a great thing to do in about a month and a half. We're going to have snow and white mountains here in Utah in about a month. We have just at the top of the mountains now, we have a little bit of snow. So you have this thing called beaches and things that we don't have. So enjoy that. But we love it here in Utah, of course. I do love it in Utah. But we have 4 full seasons through about 3 months each. So thank you, Ainsley, for being so kind. I'm glad that you appreciate the work that I've done. It's 20 years of trying to help people. And I'm grateful for all the help all of you can give to spread the word. Okay, so Ed says, Paul, please talk about the non-smart flask coming. Great comment. There is a plan. I don't know that we have a time frame yet because we've been so busy selling these, but we have considered coming out with one that doesn't have an app and what have you, but we have not done it yet. The only non-smart products, we do have the drink mix, the hydrogen prebiotic drink mix that's available. That's definitely non-electronic, but I don't have a date. I apologize, Ed. I don't have a date yet for the non-smart flask. We initially were thinking we would bring them out at the same time, but we didn't do that. But here's what I would say. We do still have the Echo Go Plus on Amazon, and you can purchase it on Amazon, and that is not a smart device, and it is less money than the Echo Flask. It's not as high a performance, and it only holds 8 ounces of water, not 12, but it is a non-smart as far as an app controlled product. Ainsley, if you come to Trinidad, I will personally drive you around. Wait a minute, I got to read that. Okay. If you come to Trinidad, I will personally drive you around, but please note, you will be red like a lobster. I love it. That's so fun. I would love to do that. That would be fun. Trinidad and Tobago, right? That's awesome, Ainsley. Thank you. Paul says, I'm confused about what the best way to clean our Echo pitcher and bottle. I see conflicting information. I would tell you that if you're wanting to pour some vinegar in the bottle, so let me answer it this way. In the bottom of any of your devices, if you have used water that has mineral content and you see white deposits in the bottom from calcium, vinegar, just pour vinegar in there and that will dissolve those deposits of calcium. If you're talking about cleaning the devices just to be good and smart and clean out and keep things clean, there's two things you can do. We make the Echo Clean, which is a hypochlorous acid. You could put that water in there. The flask itself has a cleaning cycle. So if you look right here on the screen, it says clean. And so you can have the flask clean itself. That's a wonderful thing to be able to do. If you're looking to physically clean the pitcher, then please use like a soft sponge or cloth, just using a mild detergent and wipe out the inside. That's all you would ever want to do. And then just rinse it really good. You never want to put these in a dishwasher. You never want to put them, in a fridge because they have a battery and batteries don't like the cold. So it does say in the manual for the pitcher, there are 2 little bags of baking soda, and it says to dilute the baking soda and water together and fill up, let's just say, an inch or so in the bottom of water with the baking soda, and then you can run the cleaning cycle on the pitcher. The pitcher also has a cleaning cycle. That's really what it's talking about doing, Paul, in the manual. And just know that if you're using pure water like I do, I use reverse osmosis water. I use that. It's very rare that you're going to need to clean the devices because you wouldn't have any buildup in there and you wouldn't have anything happening. Now, let's say you're using your flask a lot and then you're not going to use it for a week or so. You just want to leave the tiniest little bit of water and then leave the lid off. The worst thing you can do for these is leave a little bit of water in the bottom and then put the lid on it, because mold can grow inside, and that's just normal. Of course mold's going to grow, and you would use vinegar or what have you to get that out. But the best thing to do is leave a little bit of water in there, because the membrane that's inside here has to be kept moist, but you want the top to be open so that air can move through and you don't have mold building up. I hope that helps, Paul. If that doesn't, throw another question in and I'll be happy to answer. Stephen, is the usage recommendation be as soon as you wake up? Yes. Absolutely. Penny just answered you, but yes. An empty stomach is perfect. Oh my gosh, Reverend Jody, how are you? Do you want people to push the button when the vinegar is in there? No, I would not push the, great question, Reverend Jody. Do not push the button. Do not have the flask working when the vinegar is in there. The vinegar is just in there to dissolve the calcium deposits, and then you would pour it back out and rinse it and then continue using it. Great question, Reverend Jody. So Melody says, is the hypochlorous acid with the one with salt or not? Technically, hypochlorous is with no salt. If you added salt, it would become hypochlorite. And so you can use salt in the Echo Clean if you're using it on hard surfaces or what have you. But typically when you're using it on eyes or skin or in the mouth or in the bottle, you don't need to add salt. You can just run it a couple times, 2 or 3 times. One thing that I like about the Echo Clean is you can run it 2 or 3 times to increase the parts per million of hypochlorous acid and make it more potent by just running it 2 or 3 times without having to add salt. So I hope that helps, Melody. Okay, Ray says, do you have to fill the water to the top to run the clean? No, but great question. No, you don't. You can just fill it up a couple inches in the bottom, because what it's cleaning is the mechanism down inside. If you want to clean the inside of the bottle, then you can just do a mild dish soap and put it in there and shake it up. Or if you have a little tiny brush that can go in there or something, you can do that. But the cleaning cycle is for the proton exchange membrane, the whole electrolysis membrane that's in there. Dr. Ota, I've met Shige Ota years ago in 2015 when Tyler LeBaron, I flew Tyler LeBaron and I to the Molecular Hydrogen Symposium in Japan, the first one that they did, and Dr. Shige Ota was there. Many people, of course, were there. All the people that were there was only 3 people from the U.S. Me, Tyler, and another gentleman. Everyone else was from Japan mostly, and it was an incredible meeting. I got to meet Shige Ota. He's a great man, great man. Awesome. Thank you, Reverend Jody. Yes, she says, great info. I want to add this to my corporate wellness program. That's awesome. All right. I think we're nearing the end here. George Louis or Jorge Louis, I hope you will see and answer my question, Dr. Bertero. My under-the-counter echo isn't working after only a year. What do you suggest? Paid over $2,000. I would say go to support. I'm going to put it in here. Support.echowater.com. That is where you want to go to get support, because I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know what's going on with it. And so our team is there. Our repair department, our tech support is there to help you. So just go to support.echowater.com and they will take care of you. I promise. And just remember, everyone, you have warranties on the products that you've bought from Echo Technologies, echowater.com. You have warranties on everything, typically 5 to 10 year warranties, depending on the device. And you always have support from us. We have the most incredible staff on the planet, Penny being one of them that's here with me tonight, helping me so wonderfully. But we have such incredible staff at Echo, and we appreciate your support and your trust. Elizabeth, I thought you are supposed to put vinegar in water and run the cleaning cycle. You can if you dilute the vinegar. If you dilute the vinegar with water a lot, then you could run the cleaning cycle. If you're just putting straight vinegar in because you have calcium deposits, that's why I'm saying don't run that. Great question, Elizabeth. Paul, suggestion, make a new video explaining in detail how to care for your Echo Water devices. I know you have a video already, but you need to go through different situations. I agree, Paul. I may get our staff to do that for you. Great suggestion. Awesome. Lori says, I'm in Japan next week. Is there any place I should go to get more info on hydrogen water? Not really. Hydrogen, of course. I mean, Japan is a country, and there definitely are people that know about hydrogen there. There are vending machines all over the place that sell, hydrogen water by the bottle. So they definitely are understanding hydrogen water and know about it. But I don't really know, where you would go to learn more about it. Really, these webinars will teach you tremendous amounts, and then if you want other information, just get with our support staff and we can send you more and more information to help you get educated. If you really want to be educated, there are some training courses online that we can guide you to with the Molecular Hydrogen Foundation or Institute, actually, Molecular Hydrogen Institute, that you can go get some training there. And so those are resources that you say. Thank you, Angie. That's sweet. She said, sweet dreams, everyone. I'm going to sign off. I thank all of you so much for being here. I'm grateful for all the questions, grateful for all your support. We wouldn't be here without you. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, wherever you live, or day. If it's somewhere where it's daytime, we had someone in Australia. So just know that we are grateful for you, and we are here to support you in the ways that you need. So thank you so much, and good night.